Hello and welcome to the No One Asked You podcast. For this particular series, I am joined by my wonderful co-host, That Darn Kitty.
Dorkus and I are going into this story completely new with almost no knowledge of the story or world. Each segment will cover what happens in each new chapter while discussing our experience along the way.
This is The Hero of Ages. It's all in the pages, a blind read-through. And today we are covering Chapter 46.
Chapter 46!
Yes. Obligatory update, I've made it several chapters further into the novel writing handbook, and it is continuing its upward trajectory in terms of quality. I'm satisfied.
Awesome. Yay. I got back into Crime and Punishment this week.
Nice.
And yeah, it's insane. That's all I'll say. It's crazy. And I've got quite a chunk left, and I'm like, what on earth could get even, how could this get worse? So yeah, that's where I'm at.
It's a chunky book, very Russian, I believe.
Yeah.
I'm very fond of Chekhov and his writing style, for whatever that's worth.
Russian-ish things.
Yes. He has a very natural dialogue.
I wouldn't know.
Well, we've got a hefty chapter this week.
Yeah, quite a chunk.
We get Spook and Beldray speaking, finally. We get Sazed truly seeing Spook as an adult now.
Finally.
Lots of mixed motivations about letting Spook take point on this one, which I'm so excited to discuss when we get there.
Yeah.
And Breeze just being an empathetic guy. Yes, let's get into it, shall we? Kitty, how would you like to be the one to describe all of the events and take point on this one in the way that Sazed lets Spook take point on things?
No, thank you. I don't get ignored. Okay, I get enough airtime, so I don't need to take point.
Wow, Kitty, the call to adventure just rang and you declined.
Yes.
Fine then.
I'm tagging along on your adventure. Okay, that's what I'm the co-host, not the host. It's a difference.
I suppose that's true. Very well then. The epigraph explains the mechanics, or at least it claims to explain the mechanics of how Ruin was released from the well. Essentially, Ruin and preservation are such opposite forces that the two interacting cancel each other out.
They would destroy each other if they came into real contact.
Yes. Now, I wonder if that will lead to the way that Vin and the crew save the world at the end here. They will, force the two to come together.
Yeah. Or this made me think of Sanderson's ideas of champions and things like that. So I thought of that it means that they would need proxies to fight. But that makes more sense, that you get rid of both of them and then you continue. But then again, I don't know. If we have no more Ruin, then I suppose the world can recover a bit more. So yeah, maybe that is how we defeat Ruin. We use preservation, and oopsie, then we're independent. We have our own forces.
Perhaps. And I have sort of a strange, dare I say it, misty, more like dewy, raindroppy image in my mind of, I forget how I started this sentence. Basically, when Vin set aside or released the power of preservation, it dissipated and unlocked the lock.
The prison, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for that. But I guess the main thing there is direct confrontation of the two forces would destroy both of them. That's a key bit of info. Key. Get it. Unlock. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. So now we have, you and I, not them yet, have a way that they could actually defeat Ruin.
Mm-hmm. With its own possible unforeseen circumstances, consequences. We don't know.
Yes.
But it is an option.
Yep. And thus we get into the chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Sazed, Breeze, and Alrion have made it back to the hideout. They are kind of surrounded by enemy forces. Essentially, Quellion is aggravated and has sent out a bunch of soldiers to patrol and to keep an eye on these two. Breeze opens up the chapter asking, what just happened?
Anyone want to tell me how Spook just landed up being some sort of hero?
Yep. Breeze and Alrion, by the way, both changed back into their proper attire, which Sazed believes is so that they can remind themselves of who they really are.
Mm.
Breeze has ordered some cans of the rations opened, the food stockpiles, which Sazed takes as like, I should probably say something, but honestly, there's enough food. He can't make a dent in it.
Even Breeze can't make a dent in it.
Yep. Which, in a subtle way, could also point to Sazed's depression, I think.
Yeah, it's just, I can't be bothered.
Yep.
Usually I would have something to say about this, but I can't be bothered.
When you're depressed, you let a lot of the little things go.
Yeah, what's the point?
They waited for Spook pretty much all day and he hasn't returned. Alrion wonders why, and Breeze supposes that it's so as not to cast suspicion upon Breeze and Sazed.
Yeah.
Which is a fair justification. It's not outright stated in Spook's POV on the matter that that's the case, but I accept this as Sanderson saying that was probably also a factor in his decision.
At least a factor, yeah. He had other things to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So eventually he was going to go back there, I think. He wasn't going to leave them out.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely. There was really we'll get to it later, but there was no real sheepishness outside of one line coming from Spook when he returns. He came back, and for the most part, he really owned the reveal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I thought is neat. Captain Goradel is there as well, and he's worried about an assault, which doesn't happen in this chapter.
Mm-hmm. We're okay with that. We're good.
Yep. Sazed is worried Spook might not be able to sneak past the soldiers, but Breeze is confident, after what they saw, that he'd be able to.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Yeah, and all I'm saying is, how many times? Twice, I think. Have we had Spook rip off the mustache and be like, surprise, it was I, Spook, all along.
Yes.
I feel like Spook can get in as a master of disguise.
Yeah. Well, not right now. He can't take off his blindfold at this point, so
True.
His disguises would be, impaired.
True. Unfortunately. Alrion basically says it's too bad he couldn't have snuck out instead of making such a scene, which I think you and I know was the initial plan, and it was also Ruin's plan, wasn't it?
I'm not too sure of Ruin's plan. Ruin was okay with him killing people and getting out. Yeah, I think Ruin was okay with it not being a huge spectacle.
Yeah, my recollection was something to the effect of Ruin saying, you've got to kill all of the guards or else they'll go back and tell Quellion what happened, and we don't want that.
Yeah.
Notable that Ruin means ruin and not chaos, because I think what Spook did could lead to chaos. I mean, the announcement.
It did. Yeah.
It did, essentially. So the reason I highlight that Ruin and Spook's intention was not to cause a scene is because Breeze makes some very strong arguments as to why causing a scene is actually the good thing to do or the effective thing to do in this situation, right?
Yeah.
He says, but part of being a vigilante rebel is letting your enemies know what you are about. The psychological effect produced by leaping from a burning building carrying a child is compelling indeed. And to do that right in front of the tyrant who tried to execute said child, I wasn't aware that dear little Spook had such a flair for drama.
As if he planned it all and that was what he was doing. Meantime, he was just doing what was necessary.
Exactly. So my question for you, Kitty, because I agree with everything Breeze has said here, because it is such a strong rationale, I wonder if this is almost a post hoc rationalization on Sanderson's part to justify how to word this. Like, I have this concept in my mind and I don't know that I can impart it correctly. Accidental success is rolled up in this concept so frequently in modern media, and I'm not suggesting Sanderson did this. You see characters who do bad things and yet somehow it all works out for them.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm getting at here. This idea of justifying it after the fact is a realm in which I spent some time thinking, gosh, I wish I could articulate it better.
So what Breeze is doing here is showing how this benefits everybody actually, or is it it could have even been a brilliant plan. Okay, we know that it wasn't. That's the thing, that the character did just what was necessary, and actually it turns out it was a good thing. And that's what you're battling with right now, is that turns out it was a good thing. Okay, that bit is something that you're chewing on here for a bit. This doesn't justify. I think it works for me. I like seeing the one side of it, the way that Breeze is seeing it, how it benefits him, how it's a brilliant move. But I know that was not Spook's intention. Knowing those two things, it works for me. But I can see how you're like, no, there should be bad consequences for him, and that this seeing it as brilliant. I don't know. Is there an element of lampshading here that you're thinking of?
Perhaps there's like 5% lampshading here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I agree with everything Breeze has said.
Mm-hmm.
Alrion didn't make any arguments for why it's bad, just that she would have preferred the subtle route.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose what would be interesting to me is if there were some way to address, between maybe Breeze and Spook, the fact that Spook didn't do this intentionally and have it be chalked up to luck that it worked out. Because I don't mind characters being lucky, and I don't mind characters who make mistakes and then sometimes those mistakes benefit them. Maybe I'm arguing for more lampshade, or a more natural lampshade.
Yeah, I think you might be. Look, it might come. We don't really have that many discussions with Spook and the crew in this chapter, but at some point, Breeze saying, hey, that was brilliant, and he's like, actually, I just did what I needed to do. Like very...
Right, and then you can turn that into a really wonderful lesson for Spook. To be like, I need to think through some of these things in a bit more detail.
Yeah. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I can see why you want it to.
Thank you. Again, not complaining, just toying around with ideas in my mind.
Observing.
Yeah. Sazed comments to Breeze that they have a habit of ignoring Spook too much. In fact, I have to read this exchange.
I knew you were going to read it.
Yeah, it's so good. He's not so little anymore, I think, Sazed said quietly. We have a habit of ignoring Spook too much. Habits come from reinforcement, my dear man, Breeze said, wagging a fork at Sazed. We paid little attention to the lad because he rarely had an important role to play. It isn't his fault. He was simply young. Win was young as well, Sazed noted. Vin, you must admit, is something of a special case. Sazed couldn't argue with that. Oh man, now this is great because they're both right.
Continue. They're both right, yet.
Sazed is correct to comment that they have a habit of ignoring Spook too much. They have identified that much.
Mm-hmm.
And Breeze gives a reasonably correct explanation. When we get to Words of Radiance, we're going to have a discussion about excuses versus explanations.
Mm-hmm.
But he gives a proper explanation. He rarely had an important role to play. He was young. Now, I would argue that being a scout is a very important role to play. So, not cool, Breeze. But yeah, you don't want to put the youngins in harm's way. So it's a reasonable position to take. Now, we can have discussions about young boys being aged by the circumstances in which they grow up in, and whether or not trauma ages you. It doesn't help that Spook's personality seems to have been one of the more shy nature, which would make one, I think, a bit less noticeable.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, I think there are little things that they could have done. I know clubs taught him to fight, which we learned in this book, which is a good thing. I feel at this point I'm a bit rambling on this point. Sazed responds with Vin was young as well, and that is such a perfect rebuttal because it is true. So if you're going to stake your hat on he's young, it calls out the hypocrisy of the argument. Vin was young as well. And Breeze comes back with, well, she's a special case. And in many ways, yes, she had more raw power than Spook did.
Yeah,
Go on.
She couldn't be put to the sidelines. She couldn't be because she was mistborn. That's the thing.
But
so yes, she was young, and she was. No, she couldn't, because we need all that we can get against the Lord Ruler. So we've got a mistborn as part of the crew, and because she's mistborn, she's got to be trained. She's got to be paid attention to a lot more than, and also her mentor is the leader of the crew, so she's naturally going to have more of. If he gives her attention, everybody else will give her attention. So there's that. So that's what I'm seeing when they say she's a special case. It's because yes, she had more that they needed than what Spook could give at that point.
Right. So I also feel like I should make the distinction between running a heist in which you're going to be doing a lot of fighting and sending Vin to the balls, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sending Vin to the balls is, I think, a great deal safer than utilizing her Mistborn abilities to steal atium and take out targets, right? Which I don't think the crew ever did. They happened by dint of she was a willful person who found herself in those situations, a la Shan.
Yeah.
And following to Krennic Shaw. But the crew, I think, rarely actually put her in those hyper dangerous situations on purpose.
Yeah, that's true.
Going to the balls should have been a relatively safe thing. And I do think Kelsier considered Spook. It's just that Spook spoke with the dialect and made it harder for him to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So those two skill sets deviated. My initial point was going to be, if you're going to take a stand against putting children in harm's way, that should also count for Vin, even though she's Mistborn. But for all the reasons we just laid out, I suppose balls are not as dangerous as one might imagine. I feel like I've kind of rambled without ever actually like coming to a defined conclusion on this topic. So I'll just, I think, wrap it all up by saying I loved this exchange and the many layers of it.
Mm-hmm.
I spoke a lot though, and Kitty, you said a little, so please say more.
Yeah, I think we've covered it all. They, like you said, one of your first things that you said about this exchange is they're both right. So we've covered how they both have points.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Breeze locks down the sequence of events that logically led to Spook being in the position that he is now, and with his reputation. Sazed brings up the elephant in the room that he jumped from a 2-story building with the grace of a thug.
Mm-hmm.
Breeze's immediate response was that it was staged. I love it.
Yeah, because that's just the way Breeze thinks. He's like, yeah, we can just subterfuge and illusion. That's how we would go about it. And it's like, yeah, what are the chances of that? And then again with Breeze, like thinking the whole thing was planned as well.
Yeah.
Again, that like, you know, he was meant to jump out of the window and do all of that to the point where it was staged. Like, come on, Breeze. Now you're really projecting because it's what you would have done.
Yeah. Well, it's such a great thought coming from Breeze, who is himself a very theatrical man as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or is that not what you just said, Kitty? I'm sorry.
No, that's exactly it.
Sazed doesn't believe that it would have been staged, and he basically says the amount of people it would take to stage such a thing would undermine the ability to perpetuate the idea that he is deific. Is that the right word?
Yeah, that could work. Yeah.
Cool. And I'm thinking, well, how many people would it really take to set that stage? I mean, probably a fair amount, but not so much that it would prevent the idea in its entirety. You know, you'd have to be careful about who you trust to help stage such a thing. But
yeah.
I don't think it's impossible.
It's not impossible, but yeah, I would think that people would talk.
Yeah.
And it's too much of a risk. And why would they then help him lie?
Right.
I suppose they would be like, yeah, it's to help us overthrow, the citizen, but then again, it's just perpetuating more lies. So it's basically what Sazed is saying here is like, that's really unlikely. But then again, the other option of, Spook is suddenly mistborn, that's also pretty unlikely as well. But
right.
The point is, this is something we can't dismiss.
Right. Breeze is pretty adamant that Spook is not a mistborn and basically outlines all of the events from book 2 and book 1 and said he'd have had to go through all of that while hiding that he was mistborn, which is all logical and fair. And Sazed just thinks to himself, or you're upset that you wouldn't have been able to figure that out on your own if he was.
Mm-hmm.
I read that and I thought, is that a bitter thought from you, Sazed?
Yes. Yep. He's bitter. He is that way, and he doesn't. Usually, he would chastise himself for such things, or he would make sure he actually says them out loud to the person's face.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he is a bit mean in his thoughts.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a bit off. Obviously, it's just we know it's part of the whole Sazed package at the moment.
Yeah, but still, it's quite a shocking thought to think.
Mm-hmm.
Sazed decides, though, that Spook is not a deceitful person, and he wants to check through his copper mines to see if there's any mention of Mistborn getting their powers, or the rest of their powers, late in life, which I doubt there is.
Yeah, that would be quite an example. That would be something people knew.
Right. And I also don't necessarily blame him for not jumping to Spookquisitor.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think they're a bit behind Vin and Elend on the hemalurgy track. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah, and he is not as engaged in knowledge and inquiry as he was before. So he's not asking certain questions. He's not, as much as he is a little bit curious. This is Sazed at like 20%.
Right.
So yeah.
And he sort of quashes that curiosity really quickly. And I'm like, yeah, that's a very depressed thing to do, a determinedly depressed thing to do. But it's really good that he still has some amount of that curiosity. That could be a sign of clouds potentially beginning to part.
Yeah. If he grasps one little bit of his old self, he could rebuild.
Yeah.
So the more opportunities like this come up, the more hope there is.
Yeah. Now, I don't trust the copper mines after learning that Ruin can mess with them, and I really wish Sazed would think on that for a moment. But
yeah.
Nevertheless, particularly by the end of this chapter, when he's like, okay, maybe I can use some knowledge from them, I think he's going to start using them again, and it will hopefully have a snowball effect on his mental health. So I hope he starts upward again.
Yeah, we need him to.
Yeah. He doesn't really feel like continuing his work with the religions at that particular moment, but he forces himself to. He feels himself very interested in this new religion that's forming, particularly around spook, but he insists, he says he would be a hypocrite if he started looking more into this new religion. I don't see it, but I'm sure
Me
it makes
neither.
sense to you.
Yeah, it does. It's okay. Giving it hope, giving it a chance is the same as believing in it. I don't know, to him, and so and then he actually forces that down. He's like, I will be strong.
Yeah,
like
I was gonna say that's not strength, Sazed.
Yeah, that's avoidance. That's stifling yourself. That's strangling yourself. Yeah, it's not good.
Yep. The next religion that he has on his list is of Trell. Now, we got Trell in book 1, I believe.
I will believe you.
Thank you.
It does seem familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, I forget the specific context. It was either in a conversation with Kelsier or it was in a conversation with Vin. But the fact that it is brought up again tells me that there is some significant importance for us to know about this specific religion. You also get the sense that this is a particular religion that Sazed is fond of because he had been saving it for near the end because he knew he would find the logical inconsistencies in it. And there was a part of him that I suppose didn't want to have happen.
But there is this thing that is part of this religion, that it's all men, allowing all men to discover truth for themselves. That's something that he's actually doing.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, so it seems like this religion doesn't have, just because it's vague, it applies though. It still applies. So the fact that he kind of whizzes through it and just wants to throw it away, essentially, he's like, yeah, he knew it was inconsistent. He's not taking the bits of value that are in all of these religions, which is what he's been giving to people. When he had that conversation, I suppose in the first book, he was imparting a certain bit of wisdom that was relevant for that specific time. Now he's not doing that for himself, because that to him is hypocrisy.
Right.
Because you have to believe in all of it. Otherwise, it's, he's doing a lot of black and white thinking here.
Right. And as you were saying, it's a very poignant religion for him to be contemplating now, considering what it is that he's going through. And they know a lot about astronomy. He finds their depiction of the afterlife as sketchy. And the reason I think we get that bit of information is because we know Sazed is in no small part dealing with the loss of Tindwyl, and he's probably influenced by that. He wants to believe that Tindwyl is still out there in some way, shape, or form. Yeah?
Yeah, but he won't allow himself to believe it, though. He wants to believe it. He wants to find something that tells him that that is where she is and she's good and everything. But he's dismissing all of them that would tell him those things because he's not finding them rigorous enough.
Right. In fact, he's particularly troubled with the religion in the sense that half the answers to the questions are ask Trell and he will answer, which swap out Trell for God. I think you get a question that a lot of people who struggle with religion ask and articulate as a frustration. What do you mean? Ask God and he will answer.
Yeah, or God works in mysterious ways. That's not satisfactory to many people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have empathy for people who express that frustration, but I also think, like, if you're expecting God to come down and say, hey, so the answer to your question is X, Y, and Z, I think you have potentially a fundamental misunderstanding, again, of what it means to invoke God in this context.
But that's yeah, I guess that's what Sazed is doing here. He's like, no, he wants the answers and he wants it all laid out perfectly. No mystery, okay?
Right. Because the way I hear this question, I imagine something more akin to a deep meditation in which you eventually, essentially yourself, I don't know if Christians would say the Holy Ghost or not, find your inspiration or come to your decision or hear your conscience, essentially.
Yeah, find the answer yourself, yeah.
Yeah, or accept that whatever the outcome, you will meet it, and what will happen kind of an idea.
Yeah. Those are all options that you can eventually get to, but Sazed's not in the mood for that.
Right. Because there is something surface level vague about it. Like, what do you mean what will happen will happen? That means nothing. And I'm like, or it means everything? And the noteworthy thing here, and especially why I think it's going to come back later, is he doesn't dismiss the religion. He sets it aside because he just doesn't feel like finishing the work.
Yeah.
I read that and I'm thinking, no, that's good. That means there's a little part of you, Sazed, that's like fighting to get out.
Yes. Hopefully, when he does get back to it, he does find something that he can't dismiss.
Yep.
That he can't just go, oh, well, that's not enough. Or maybe he'll tell himself that it's not enough, but there will be enough doubt.
Yeah. He goes back to wondering about Spook and whether or not he has become a Mistborn. He notes that several things that they held as truth regarding Allomancy turned out not to be true. And yes. What didn't the Lord Ruler tell you guys? Obviously, he had a history of censorship, so
you have to have the want to discover it.
Yep, which ironically circles back to Trell and discovering truth for oneself.
Yeah.
Really excellent. Sazed wonders if Spook is on drugs.
Yeah, maybe it's got something to do with the blindfold and stuff. It's definitely something to consider. It's like, what is different about him? Well, look at him. He has to blindfold himself, yes, but what's all that about? So, yeah, it makes sense that he would go there.
Yep. And then he determines that he has this feeling he can't shake, that something very important is occurring and Spook is at the center of it.
Good, Sazed.
Yes.
Don't ignore that feeling, Sazed.
Yeah, please don't. Because it's true. Spook finally confronts Beldre.
Yes, why now? I guess because the rebellion is going to happen, right?
I got the sense that it was because he finally realized why she is so sad. Which is his opening line.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, a pretty good opening line for that. look, I know I'm going to make the anti-spook crowd so upset with this. I think this is romantic spook. I think, for the most part, not all of it, but for the most part, this is attractive spook.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Kitty?
Yeah, it makes sense. A guy coming up to you and knowing more about you.
There's
You could,
mysteriousness.
yes, yeah, you could find. It depends on whether you like him or not. It really does.
True.
If you don't like him, then it's creepy. If you do, then it's sexy. That's really how simple it is.
Yes.
Hmm.
He steps out from the mist. He starts explaining why he previously thought she was sad and why he no longer believes those reasons. At first, I thought that sadness had to do with this garden. It must have been beautiful once. You would have seen it in its glory. Before your brother ordered all ornamental gardens plowed under, you were related to nobility and probably lived in their society. Beldray doesn't respond.
So that's reason one.
Yep.
That he considered.
He affirms that he knows that Quellion is an allomancer.
A coin shot. Yeah.
Yep. Good to know. Hypocrite Quellion.
Mm-hmm. We knew this.
Yep. And again, she is silent. So there's this big tension throughout the entirety of the scene where I'm dying to know, how is she going to react? Is she going to go for it, or is she going to fight against it?
Yeah, I don't know what I get from her in this. I have the question, same, that I'm like, what is she? How is she going to? But she's unreadable, and it feels like she's pretty unreadable.
Yes. I think she agrees with Spook, but I don't think she's ready to commit to Spook. Or at least his movement.
Yeah.
We have known from the beginning that Spook is a very insightful person, so I think what he sees in her is not inaccurate.
She does take a step backward when she finally sees him in the mist. So it is a bit, so there is some
good, healthy
hesitation.
Caution.
Yeah.
He outlines that he thought it was that she's being excluded, but he ultimately determined that that wasn't it.
Yeah, but of course the point there is I know what it's like to feel useless and excluded among important people. So of course that's also an idea of him. He projected that onto her as well.
Yeah.
In that consideration.
Yeah. It is, so many lines in this are so good. I know what it's like to feel useless and excluded among important people. My heart breaks for him.
Mm-hmm.
So much. I really felt how Spook must have felt being excluded. I mean, I have felt excluded at many points in my life. It's not pleasant. He goes on to say, I was wrong. Being forbidden your brother's conferences would lead to frustration, but not such pain, not such regret. I know that sorrow now. I killed for the first time this afternoon. I helped overthrow empires, then helped build them anew, and I'd never killed a man. Not until today. Woo! Heavy.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like even when he did it, I didn't have the sense of how horrible it was for him. Mm-hmm. Now clearly it has affected him.
Yes, Spook is a fundamentally changed man now. We didn't even really talk about whether or not that was his first kill in the rescue chapter.
I mean, I would have assumed that he had killed someone previously because he's just been
around it
in battle and around it. Yeah. So now he's just confirmed for us that he's never killed. So, well, he never had. And now he's killed quite brutally.
Yep. That grows a person, I imagine.
Yeah.
Or stunts them, depending on which side of the coin you're looking at. Beldray doesn't immediately yell. Emphasis on the word immediately there. She says you shouldn't be here, which I think is a good sign. She's open to Spook.
Yeah, she's like, look, yeah, you shouldn't be here. You should get out of here. Don't get, get caught.
Yep. Spook doesn't believe that any guards will come. It's poorly defended because Quellion overestimated the danger outside of the palace. Kelsier wants Spook to go kill Quellion then and there, and Spook refuses to do so, particularly not in front of Beldre. So I really, really like that Spook is not a not Kelsier sycophant at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, right now he's like, okay, look, I know that that's supposed to happen, but yeah, I have standards, and I have there's a way to do these things, and I'm not just going to do what you tell me.
Yeah. Now, we had a conversation earlier about how ruin means ruin and not chaos. Between Ruin telling Zane to kill everyone he came across except for Vin, and with Ruin, we assume, telling Spook frequently to kill people, although I don't think he has actually said to kill Breeze or Sawshead. He has only ever said, I never liked Breeze.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a part of Ruin that is just like, kill everyone. Damn it. We want chaos here.
Yeah, it's all ruin if everything is killed, yeah.
Right. I'm basically saying I wonder how Ruin benefits if Zane and Spook kill every single person that Ruin tells them to kill. Because I can't imagine he's telling Penrod to kill everyone he comes across, because it sounded like there were specific plans for Penrod. So I don't think it's a matter of Ruin just going around saying kill everyone to everyone.
Yeah, it's more intricate. There's more planning around it.
Yeah. So the big question here is, Kite, do you and I want Quellion to live then? Because Ruin wants Quellion dead.
He does seem to be crazy and needs to be put down. So.
Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at. I mean, I'm still in line with the Ruin needs to make it just a little bit further, probably. So, anyway, Beldre thinks Spook came to taunt her, but Spook basically says, I understand you. Beldre doesn't believe that to be the case, but Spook invokes her eyes when she saw the people being marched to their death. He appeals to her the fact that Quellion has been corrupted and is killing people, Allomancer's families, to gain their loyalty. Which I feel like we all know.
Yeah, but he's confronting her with that fact. He's like, that's not normal. Just, you know it. Cool. This is not news to her, but it's like, hey, is that the question that he asks you, are those the actions of a good man? Like, so think about it.
Yep.
She doesn't want to think about it.
Yeah, so throughout all of this, she's refusing to meet his eyes, which says something. It says she knows he's right, but she calls him simplistic instead.
She calls him a simplistic fool. So maybe he is right about some things, but it's not as simple as he makes it out. It's like, yeah, he's not a good man, but he's still my brother. I still love him. I still hope for him. All of those things, those nuanced things, you're making it too simple and too easy that, okay, he's a bad man, therefore it should be easy for me to betray him, kind of thing.
She tells him to go. Again, she's not threatening to scream yet, so that's noteworthy.
Yeah, she wants him to go because of what he's saying. She doesn't want to think about those things.
Right. Spook is confident that he'll overthrow Quellion, and he wants Beldre to come with, not just for her safety, but for the statement it would make if she came with him against Quellion. And that's where I think Spook fumbles here, in terms of the romance of all of this.
Oh, we can use you kind of thing.
Yes.
I don't know if I think she was already telling him to go. I don't know if this would be her. Yeah, the romance of it all does fall away there, but I think she was upset already.
I mean, I think she was upset beforehand because she was being confronted with a bunch of uncomfortable truths, but I also think it lived in the vein of this person sees me and is, well, speaking truths that I'm trying to hide from, and there's a certain allure to it that makes this person very attractive to me. And it isn't until Spook basically says, if you join us, it'll be a strong blow to your brother, that she starts threatening to scream. So I really do think it's that. Even though Spook does say he hopes that will convince Quellion that he's wrong, I do think it's that triggers Beldre's anger at that moment. She was in a sensitive spot of having to confront truths, and then in comes this element of, oh, he just wants to use me.
Okay.
Kind of a thing. That
I
was
didn't
my
see it that way, but
interpretation.
I see your interpretation.
Neat. Spook calls her bluff, but it's not a bluff. So Kelsier's yelling to go kill Quellion, and Spook leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look, I think there's sort of a dark, mysterious, romantic element here at play. I guess knowing the background, I can see why people would still argue Spook is creepy, but I'm for it right now.
I'm okay with it. I just see it as it is. I don't know. I can't see what she is about. She's unreadable to me, so I can't be excited for her or scared for her either way. But if I compare this to the way I found Zane attractive, it's the same thing. Zane had the same sort of I understand you kind of thing. We're the same kind of thing. So I can see how this works, how it becomes attractive.
Neat.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go back to Sazed, who has taken out all of his metal mines and he's treating them. And when I say treating them, I mean he's caring for them.
Mm-hmm.
We get a lot of reminder description about what feruchemy is.
Yeah, because we haven't had it in this book, really.
Yeah, not in a while. I don't remember noting any uniquely new information out of this.
No.
He did say that the bracers were the most important metal mines of all. And we know that they sold the Lord Ruler's bracers, the Atium bracers, in the second book. And I said then that I thought those bracers would be a MacGuffin, and I'm saying it now. I wonder if those are what Ruin is looking for, because we wondered if the Lord Ruler was an avatar of preservation, I believe. The only spanner in the works there is, why would Marsh think that the thing he's looking for was in the conventicle of Saren? It's hard to imagine that Ruin might not have known that the bracers were what he's looking for. All of that said, though, it wouldn't surprise me if Yeoman has the bracers.
Yeah, it's a relic of his leader.
Mm-hmm.
He's the Atium guy, so why not?
I felt like that's all important suppositions to make at this time.
Mm-hmm.
When Sazed was younger, an older feruchemist imparted all knowledge of the feruchemists to him. And throughout all of this, the feruchemists worked the hardest to try to regain knowledge of the Terrace people, but that was also the knowledge that the Lord Ruler worked extra hard to make sure never made it anywhere.
Yep.
I wonder if Sazed ever got a good look at the Lord Ruler's special room. I wonder what could be gleaned from that.
Yeah, what hidden knowledge would he have had in there as well?
Snowshoes. There are 50 religions left in his portfolio.
Good to know.
Oh, as he's wondering about the Terrace religion, he has another depressed thought. I wonder what would have happened if we had found it. Probably nothing. That's nihilistic.
Yeah, so he's like, oh, even if we found our own religion, the Terrace religion, nothing. Yeah.
He also feels that the religions basically died, and in so doing proved their inability to be true because they died.
Yeah, that's it. That was them failing.
Right, which I see the logic in it. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I see the logic in it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, so he expects these religions, their gods to somehow step in and make sure that the knowledge is not lost.
Right.
No, which is what you could argue the existence of the keepers is something that those religions made possible or something like that. And he kept them alive. Therefore, they did not fail.
Yeah. I mean, Ruin basically argued that a thing has its meaning once it's completed, essentially, which is a kinder way of saying what he said.
Yeah.
But that you could also make the argument that each religion is right for the time and place and interpretation in which it is born and believed, which is why the Kelsier religion is so important for Sazed to focus on in that moment, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Breeze shows up because I think it's because he senses, again, how depressed Sazed is and wants to try to say the right things to make him better. I mean, Breeze kind of couches it in, I don't understand you and I want to understand you. And I think there's probably some truth to it, but I also do think it's Breeze trying to play therapist.
Yeah, it's trying to have a conversation that moves Sazed forward, moves Sazed some way.
Right. He basically says, I don't understand you, Sazed. Why are you taking such good care of them if you never wear them, and you seem to hate them now? Sazed responds by saying he doesn't hate them, he just doesn't want to wear them anymore. And Breeze properly brings up Tindwell, says, do you really think she would have wanted you to give up your metal mines? Sazed claims that this isn't about Tindwell. And that was an interesting line for me because I had interpreted it in no small part because of Tindwell. But what did you think upon first read at that statement?
All of this is about Tindwell, so I think that's cope for him. So all of this has occurred. All of this has happened to him because of the pain of losing Tindwell. He's lost faith. Okay, so I'm not denying that it's just. I'm not saying it's just the loss of Tindwell. It's that loss led to a loss of faith, which has led to him abandoning being a keeper, not being comfortable with his identity, all of that stuff. But it is to do with Tindwell and thinking about. I call it cope because thinking about what Tindwell would think of what you're doing right now, that's too active. That's going to make me think too much, and I'm going to maybe have to change my behavior, and I don't want to do that. So it's not about Tindwell, okay? He's kind of like sulky. It's not about Tindwell. Like, okay, cool, fine.
No, it is. She was the catalyst, unfortunately. Yeah. But I agree with Breeze.
It's not all Tindwell. Yeah, but
she wouldn't want this.
Yeah, she definitely wouldn't want this.
Yeah. Sazed goes on a bit of a diatribe about how he fulfilled his keeper duty after the Lord Ruler died and he went to do his teaching. He says that people were interested in the way someone who goes to a museum or a library might be interested, but they didn't really care on a faith level to figure out who they were, where they came from, or believe what their ancestors believed. And obviously for Sazed, who is so into the faith, took that pretty hard. And because he took this as a rebuff to their such vital work, he takes it to mean that their vital work really meant nothing.
Yeah. Instead of noticing that, well, the nature of religion isn't that you just come bearing the good news and then it just happens. And then people just take it up and that's how it goes. People need to be open to it. It depends where they are in their own history. They need to be ready for it. You don't just come by and talk about it once and then it works. Yeah, so there is that part of it. And then also seeing the value in it. The fact that even having memory of it, having museums and things like that, that's still valuable. That's still something.
Right? So he says, this is not an era for scholars and philosophers. Scholars and philosophers do not help feed starving children. And I'm yelling at Sazed there. So? Yeah, okay, maybe, sure, but so? Every time you enter into an era which isn't great for philosophers, you're just going to throw away all the philosophy that came before? Or are you going to save it for when it is a time for philosophers? Put it in a museum.
Mm-hmm. It's part of life.
Yeah.
It's part of humanity. And you're just dismissing it because, it doesn't have the utility at this point. You don't think that it has the utility. Meantime, it's behind everything.
Museums have a place.
History has a place. Knowledge.
Yeah.
Pursuit of questions. That's all part of humanity. That's all the richness that you can't throw away. But he's thrown it all away. And yes, I know that happened before Tyndall, but Tyndall is definitely the catalyst, like we said, where that turns all of those previous blows into like fatalities.
Yeah. Bad arguments, Sazed.
Mm.
But then he switches over to the next element of his argument, which is he doesn't think the things in it are useful. It didn't help overthrow the Lord Ruler, and perhaps the others should have fought. And it's like, yeah, okay, maybe the other keepers should have fought, but I mean, first off, your religions helped Kelsier.
Mm.
They played a role. They inspired him in some ways. But also, how much could the Synod have actually done? The very act of preserving the knowledge was in and of itself a rebellion.
Yeah.
And Breeze points out, well, you resisted, and Sazed believes because he's the last keeper, he represents all the keepers. I represent all keepers since I am apparently the last, and I, as the last, do not believe in the things I once taught. I cannot with good conscience imply that I am the keeper I once was. Breeze says that doesn't make any sense. Even though it makes sense to Sazed, Breeze continues, I think you're just confused. This may not seem to you like a world for scholars, my dear friend, but I think you'll be proven wrong. It seems to me that now, suffering in the darkness that might be the end of everything, is when we need knowledge the most. Yeah, I side with Breeze on this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the way that he, just going back to the fact that Breeze says you resisted, and his response is about who he represents and blah, blah, blah. He actually completely stepped over what Breeze was saying there. He completely ignored it.
Yep.
He went into a whole other point. Oh, no, I can't do this, and this is why I can't imply that I'm the keeper I once was. And yeah, that makes sense. I can understand. He can't imply that he's what he was before. He's absolutely resisting the call to adventure. He's resisting everything, all the potential that that is ahead of him. He doesn't care about that. He's definitely shying away from it, and this is the reasoning he's put himself into. But yeah, I'm with Breeze on the fact that there is absolutely space for knowledge. We need as much knowledge as we can right now.
Yeah.
But he's just focused on the religion part of it.
Yeah. And we get the most devastating exchange. Breeze essentially says, do you really believe that nothing is watching over us? And Sazed responds, I have yet to decide for certain. At times I have hoped to find some truth. However, today that hope seems very distant to me. There is a darkness upon this land, Breeze, and I'm not sure that we can fight it. I'm not sure that I want to fight it. Whoa.
Yeah, that is huge.
That is darkest Sazed so far.
Mm-hmm. It's, you know what, I can't be bothered to fight it because there's no use fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Because nothing means anything. That's it.
Yes.
That's the depth of despair. Just not even worth it.
Yeah, if I were there, I would...
Breeze doesn't even... You slap him.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I would just slap him. And Breeze doesn't even respond.
Because I would probably be speechless. Be like, is that you, Sazed? What the hell? You know, like, what can you even say?
Yeah.
To that.
And then we get a literary earthquake there.
Mm-hmm.
Literally an earthquake hits. And again, I think Sazed is the hero of ages, and we get Sazed at what I have just characterized as his absolutely lowest point so far. And it coincides with the earthquake. I think when he finally truly pulls himself out, he will be the hero of ages out of this darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what this earthquake means here, essentially, is that he's at this very low point.
Yeah.
They banter about the wisdom of hiding in a cave when earthquakes are coming more and more commonly. And Goradel shows up saying that Spook has returned. He comes back in with his eyes uncovered and a hardness in his expression, which cements in Sazed that they really haven't been paying attention to him enough. Spook comes in charge, large and in charge. He's like, we have little time for chatter, Breeze. Emperor Venture wants Urtio, and we're going to deliver it to him. And he starts ordering Breeze to spread rumors of what they know to be true, which is that Quellion is using Allomancers, which Breeze goes off to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they follow him while he walks around. So that's very much showing us, look how different it is. They're following him. He walks around and they have to follow to speak to him. So, yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And then he turns to Sazed and asks about the water. Essentially, Spook wants to reverse the drainage system so that he can flood the canals with water again.
Mm-hmm.
So I read that and I'm like, first off, it's an ashy world out there. That's not going to be clean water as soon as it leaves these caverns.
It's just going to be mud. Yeah.
Yeah. Second off, people have built in the canals, so you're going to be destroying businesses and homes and stuff, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Third off, I think, as they've explained it, they want to create a counter narrative against Quellion. They want to be the ones that bring water to the people. And I think, yeah, good plan. Not a bad plan.
Yeah, makes sense. Give them miracles and a hero.
Yes, which is neat. Mm-hmm. Spook is getting to play at being Kelsier.
Mm-hmm.
Sazed is eyeing Spook, thinking about the good points that he's made. We get the line, Spook seemed to have grown far more competent. I don't like the use of the word competent here.
Mm-hmm.
Was he awkward? Sure, but I never got the sense that he was meaningfully incompetent. Although I think we got a comment on a previous video in which someone made an argument that it may have been Spook who got Renault caught in book 1. He laid out, the commenter laid out some logical, I wish I could remember who it was and on which video, some logical steps that would have had to happen, which all started with Spook.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe competent is an appropriate word. But no, say confident here.
Capable.
Capable, yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's not as condescending.
That's the word for how I feel about that line.
Mm-hmm.
Sazed does the thing that I love characters to do when they know secrets are being held. And he outright asks, what is it you aren't sharing with us? What's the deal with all of these mysterious things going on with you?
Yeah, how did you survive the fall? Why do you cover your eyes? like all of the stuff that you want him to ask. And it's okay that we don't get an answer from Spook, but I'm glad that we got the question from Sazed.
Very much so. Spook falters for a moment, which Sazed thinks reveals hints of the insecure boy he used to be, which I have mixed emotions on. It's like, no, I don't want Spook to be insecure, but at the same time, I feel like, good, it's still Spook. It's still the good old Spook we know and love. But also it's like, ooh, is that going to undermine Sazed's perception of this new confident Spook? I hope not.
I don't think so. I think
I agree.
In Sazed, what it is the same thing of, oh, it's still Spook. Because you're worried when somebody has changed so much. You're like, who are they? They're unpredictable. I don't know what their motivations are. I don't know what's changed them. I don't know whether I can trust them. But then we've got, for some reason, seeing that made Sazed more comfortable. Seeing a bit of the old him is what makes you go, oh, okay, he's still in there. I can still trust him.
Which parallels really nicely with this conversation we just had with the who are you, Sazed? Moments in this chapter and the hint of interest that he's about to show in retaking some of the knowledge about moving the water or the skills required to move the water with Sazed here. So great paralleling. Spook essentially says, I'll explain eventually, but I'm still trying to figure it out myself. And Sazed sees in Spook that Spook cares very, very much about the people of this city. And Sazed realizes that he does not, which...
Yeah. What a line. Spook cared and Sazed did not.
Yeah. Now he acknowledges this is him worse than usual this evening, but still. Ugh. And so he decides to let Spook take the lead.
Yeah, and I like this line here, but looking into Spook's eager eyes, he was almost able to forget his troubles for a moment. So, yes, he's kind of being forced out of this malaise himself. Like, because there's somebody that cares, he's being forced out, and there's so much eagerness there that Sazed saying no is not even really coming across to him. He's like, will you trust me, and you're going to help, right? You've got the metal mines, and that's going to help you do what I need you to do. Like, there's no, oh, I'm so sorry you're feeling that way, Sazed. It's active, and Sazed's inspired by Spook.
Yes, but also it could speak to the fact that Sazed desperately needs someone or something to follow. We know that the Terracemen were deliberately bred to be subservient, even though Sazed was the most rebellious of all the Terracemen. Could be that there is still some cultural part of him that necessitates he has someone to follow.
Yeah, because the idea of leading is so foreign to him as well now. He's, the weight. Which
will make it tough when he becomes the hero of ages and has to lead everyone to the promised land.
But he has the weight of being the last keeper. He has the weight of being the last keeper, all of that. It's heavy.
Yeah. Spook asks him about the metal mines, asks him to take the knowledge to figure out how to work the water situation. And Sazed basically looks over at the metal mines and he thinks as long as this knowledge is practical and useful and there's meaning to it, I guess it would be okay to take some engineering knowledge.
Yeah, it's not the religion one, so it's fine.
Yeah, and I felt a little slap in the face in the sense that we get the pros. It seemed a weak excuse, and just not 2 seconds earlier I had thought, hey, that those are some good excuses. Good reasons.
He wants to dismiss them. He wants them to be not good enough.
Yes. But with that said, Sazed agrees, thus ends the chapter.
Long chapter.
Quite a long chapter with lots of really, really wonderful lines. Anything else to say, Kitty?
Like the video.
Look, the earthquakes are becoming much more frequent. Ruin wants you to. Preservation wants you to. Kitty wants you to. So if you like, thank you all for tuning in. Have a great rest of your week. Subscribe to That Darn Kita if you get a chance, because she's got a great channel.
Subscribe to this channel because you already know it's great.
It would be greatly appreciated, and we'll see you next time. Okay, thanks, bye.
Bye.